Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, were the Clippers playing chess the entire time? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, make sure you check out Dreamerspro Max, an online sports community, a place where you can go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, and so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We have that link in the description below and get 7 days of access. Also, make sure you go ahead and click the join button to join the channel to receive loyalty badges from our channel. So whenever we go live, you leave a comment, we see it, we respond to it. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that and click that. It's next to the join button. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. So today I'm going to have a good time with this, all right? Let's get into this topic here. So up until 2 weeks ago, the Clippers look like they were trying to go up in the standings. Now, why do I say this? Because usually after these games, I usually watch some of the post-game interviews with the coaches, and some of the players, right? And in one of those, or numerous occasions rather, I've heard Paul George say more than once that no matter what's going on in the playoff, no matter what's going on in the standings right now, we're still trying to move up. We're still trying to move up. I've heard Paul George say that same thing a number of times, right? So that was my general thought. I thought, okay, well, it looks like this Clipper team and most teams out there are aiming for the highest seed possible in the standings because, obviously conventional wisdom will tell you, well, you want to have home court advantage, etc. That's what we all thought, right? And you thought, okay, if you can, get the number 1 seed, get the number 2 seed, whatever it is. It made perfect sense to me. Looked like that's what all the teams were doing for the entire regular season, like the Jazz, the Lakers, and all of that, right? Then 2 games ago, something unforeseen happened. And what game am I referring to? I'm talking about that game with the Houston Rockets, right? Now, before the game, I noticed that the majority of the players that normally would play, like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Vince Zuba, these guys, Patrick Beverley, none of them were suited up. And I asked myself, I said, what's going on? Why aren't they playing this game? And then I said to myself, are the Clippers possibly trying to throw this game? This was the theory that I had. A lot of you guys on the channel remember this. I threw this out as a theory. I said, wait a minute, are they trying to throw this game? So what happened? They went out there and then they lost the game. And at first, I was totally confused. I'm like, why would you do that? You're the number 3 seed. Wouldn't you want to at least try to get to the number 2 seed? That was my first thought. Then I listened to what the coach had to say at the end of the game. And Ty Lue said, no, this game we decided that we wanted to rest our players. So I was like, okay, but now is the time you want to rest your players. You're going to have a week off. Why would you rest your players now, right? Then I went back and took a closer look at the standings. And I immediately started to think to myself, I said, wait a minute. What if the Clippers are trying to pull a fast one on the entire Western Conference? What if they're trying to do that? And then I said to myself, I said, wait a minute. What if they also lose the next game, which is the last game that we saw last night? What would that do to their standings? And I said, oh, wait a minute. They're trying to pull a fast one on the league. So let me explain to you quickly, why I'm saying that. By them losing that second game, they accomplished a few things. The first thing is the bracket standings. Before the Clippers played the Houston Rockets, the Clippers were the number 3 seed. The Clippers were slated to play the Portland Trail Blazers or the Lakers in round 1 if the Lakers won out. So I said to myself, okay, now, if they were supposed to play Portland in the first round, what does that mean? That means that their second round matchup, right, if they beat Portland, would either be the Phoenix Suns or the Lakers or even the Golden State Warriors, but most likely the Lakers or the Suns. And then if they were able to get past those teams, which are very, very difficult teams to beat, you now go to the Western Conference Finals where you would ultimately have to face the Denver Nuggets. And I'm like, whoa, this is a gauntlet that the Clippers would have to go through just to get to the finals. They would have a very, very tough road. Regardless of how confident you feel in the Clippers, that's still a very challenging, that's a tall order for any team. To play those teams, those are legitimate teams. Those are not like, this team. Those are very good teams. Even if you had a winning record against them, it doesn't matter. Ty Lue said the playoffs is a different season, and those are going to be tough teams, right? So I said to myself, okay, that's a very daunting path. But by them losing and becoming the number 4 seed, they now jump to the other side of the bracket where now their first round opponent is the Dallas Mavericks. Now, some of you say Dallas is tough, and Dallas could be tough because they're going to have Kristaps Porzingis. They're going to have Luka Doncic. Last year, they took them to 6 games, right? So it's not like as if the Clippers are jumping to the other bracket and they're going to be there on cruise control. No, it's a serious team. They beat them, but some people speculated that last season that the Mavs could have beat them given the fact of how Paul George was playing and how the team was playing. They could have beat them, right? So the Clippers are taking their chances with the Mavs. But by the Clippers jumping to that side of the bracket, you first get to play the Mavs, and then you play the winner of the Utah Jazz and whoever they play as the 8th seed, and then you move to the Western Conference Finals. Now, for me, I think being on the other side of the bracket is an easier road than in round 1 possibly having to face Portland or the Lakers, and in round 2 possibly having to face Phoenix Suns or the Lakers. That's a very daunting road to try to go through. So for me, I think it's an easier path for them. So that's the first thing that they accomplished. The second thing they accomplished is what they did to the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets and the Lakers, by the way. By them losing, they officially found a way to completely screw the Nuggets and the Lakers. Because now, instead of them having to face Portland, Denver has to face Portland. And then if Denver somehow makes it by and the Lakers make it by the Suns, then Denver will most likely get knocked out by the Lakers if they face them. So basically what the Clippers are saying to the Lakers and the Nuggets, you guys go deal with that problem. We're going to be over here chilling. Not chilling, but we're going to take our chances playing the Denver Nuggets. Playing the Dallas Mavericks, because the Lakers are better than the Mavericks. So the Clippers, by definition, did the smart thing by avoiding the Lakers and other teams, because not avoiding them, but you don't have to play tougher teams. And if your goal is to get to the NBA Finals, that's a very smart move. The checker move would be, okay, I want to play you and play. No. Chess is like, wait a minute. Let's be, tacticians here about this, and let's try to pick the smoothest path that we can take to the finals. So now you leave the Lakers, who are now going to be in that mess, because the Lakers now are in a mess. Regardless of whether or not they're a good team, they're still in a mess. Nobody would tell you in their right mind that they would want to be in a play-in tournament. No one would tell you that. That is some type of upside down logic. You don't want to be in a play-in at all. Why? Number one, by being in a play-in, you don't rest. You're playing games. When everybody else is resting and prepping and practicing, you're out there playing games, right? So you don't want to be in a tournament. And number two, it's a one and done type of situation. You have a bad night, you have a bad shooting night, an injury occurs, you lose that game. So you're putting yourself in a situation that you don't need to be. It's an unnecessary circumstance to be in. Unnecessary. And no one is going to tell me that it's going to raise you're actually increasing your chances by getting to the finals by participating in a play-in tournament. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's like, ask yourself logically, would you rather have to face 4 opponents or 3 to get to the finals? Obviously 3. It's just less people you got to go through. So now the Lakers find themselves in a situation. Now they're in the play-in tournament, right? So the Clippers found a way to basically mess up everybody else. And what happened last night? After the Clippers pulled off that move, what happened last night? I saw something else happening. I saw Denver trying to throw their game. But by that time, it was too late. The Clippers, with that one move, they basically messed up everybody else in the Western Conference with that one move. And for them to save it at the very last moment proves to me that Tyronn Lue and these guys are tacticians. They're not out there. They're thinking multiple steps ahead. They looked at the standings and said, wait a minute. If we drop just one spot, we can change the path that we have to take. And we send those other teams that are bunched up and let them go fight it out. If you look at the brackets, the opposite brackets, which the Denver Nuggets and that's the crazier one. That's the tougher bracket to be a part of. And the Clippers avoid all of that. Now, some people may say, oh, but you want to... It's called being smart. If you're trying to ultimately get to the NBA Finals, this was the smartest thing to do. the smartest move you could make. And it looks like I was right. My theory came true because I thought that that's what they were doing. I think they took everybody by surprise. Everyone, especially the Denver Nuggets. By the time Denver figured out what the Clippers were doing, it was too late. So Denver's out there trying to throw that game, which they did. And the Clippers, they threw that game, which they did. Just look at the first quarter. All the first 15 shots were all threes. What game do you see that in? They were throwing that game. And then after the Clippers game, the Lakers game at one point became totally irrelevant. They didn't even need to play. At one point, there was no purpose for the Lakers to be even playing because they were going into the play-in tournament anyway, which makes me ask the question, why was LeBron James what was he trying to accomplish by winning that game? You lost. You're going to the play-in tournament. Why are you still playing? Just sit down because 2 days later, you're going to be playing another game. I saw him kind of tweak. For what reason? So for me, this one move proved that the Clippers were playing chess. And the only people that will be salty about this are the people that wish they thought of it first. Because trust me, if Denver thought of it, if the Lakers have thought of it, could have thought of those other things, they would have did it. Because they're trying to get to the finals. And if some of you disagree, y'all are naive. If LeBron had the opportunity to do it, he would do it. You say, but how do you know that LeBron would want to? He would want a challenge. He would want to fight. You crazy. Why do you think LeBron wanted to recruit Kawhi Leonard in the first place? Was it to make his life harder or easier? One less guy to compete against. LeBron is very smart when it comes to that. So he would have did it. It's just that somehow the Clippers figured it out. And they pulled off one move this season threw the entire Western Conference into limbo. The smartest move that was made. This was the single best move made by any team this season was the move that the Clippers made by losing to Houston. And I think now it's becoming very clear to you guys, and the impact of this move is not lost. I'm sure it's not lost on most of you. You see what this does. Is it a guarantee? No. But you know what? I'd rather face Dallas than face Portland or the Lakers in round one. What do you think? Now, regardless of the fact of whether or not I feel confident in beating them, you still have to respect the fact that those are very, very good teams. So I think the Clippers pulled it off. Great moves and kudos to them. And I know a lot of people are salty. One guy said, oh, you're going to be worried about the Dallas. But what are you talking about? You're in the play-in tournament. Go worry about the play-in tournament. You're sitting there talking about the Mavericks. What are you talking about? How are you concerned about the Lakers, the Clippers, and you're in the play-in tournament? And you're going to be good. You're going to be concerned about the Mavericks. Blah, 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 blah. Bro, you in the play-in. Cut it out. Stop. Go focus on your team. You got a fight coming up. Go focus on that. Catch you guys on the next episode. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot to say, so please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.